Hi guys and welcome to my review of One Piece chapter 956 and 957. Big news and ultimate. These two chapters were just like info dump after info dump. And there's a lot to talk about. Like, my hair is up, it's serious business. This is probably gonna be really long, so like, bear with me, but there's a lot to talk about. Like, we start off, like, just starting off 956. We're like, oh, it's after the reverie. So obviously so much stuff must have happened. And I don't think we know, like, obviously we don't know everything because there's the whole Sabo business, but we're gonna get into that. But, we start off with Garp and Neptune talking, which is like, okay, serious business. Neptune and them, they're already back at Fishman Island, and Garp is there talking to them about stuff that has happened, and, and they kind of tease the chapter, like, there was this big incident, there's this other big incident, and things happened, and Garp kind of says, like, even though all the reveries are, like, kings clashing and just no one getting along, this particular reverie was even worse than usual, which is just like, okay, way to start off the chapter. Because obviously we know from the beginning, we're not gonna get everything. We never get all the answers we want. So, and we just go further into the teasing when we go to Morgan's, who's like, oh no, big news. But I really loved the little scene we had with Morgan's, like, getting, like, the little command from the government, like, please cover up this story, we don't want this story to come out, and he's like, no, news important, we shouldn't fool the people, and I might like money, but it's more important to get this story out, and he just straight up kills a Cypher Pole agent. I don't know if he's dead, but I think he's dead. I feel like killing him was probably the smarter choice, and he probably wouldn't hesitate. I know the translation said, like, he beat him up, but, like, what's really stopping him from just taking a knife and, like, so yeah, and from that thing we also have Morgan's having contact with Wapol about some leaked information, and I'm trying to remember when last time we saw Wapol in the main story was, because that must have been so long ago, because he had his cover story of him, like, after the Drum Island stuff, and he, like, had the toy thing and things. But I think we saw him when the reverie was, like, coming together. We kind of had, like, the panels of all the kings, and we saw Wapol going to it. But I think that was the last time we saw him. He never really did anything. He was just, like, in those exposition panels, so don't remember what the last thing he actually did was, so. But sure, yeah, we're just, at these two chapters, it was just, like, getting every major player from every single arc we've ever seen just together into one story, which really helps the little Oda thing of, like, there's 5 years left of One Piece, which I will discuss by the end, because I have thoughts about every time Oda's, like, putting out an estimate of, I think there's so much left of this story, because there's a discussion to this. Anyway, we move on to more vague information, which is something happened to Sabo, and they make it seem like he's dead. He's obviously not dead. Like, first of all, there's no way that would happen off screen. We're not gonna have an Ace 2.0. He's just obviously not dead. And it goes back to what Morgan said about, oh no, there was an attempted murder, what a great story. That was probably the instance Sabo was related to, and I assume Sabo was the one trying to do the killing because he was there, you know, in disguise, trying to sneak into the reverie. So for me, it makes a lot of sense that he was then captured failing to murder someone or something. I don't know why he would resort to murder. It could have been a kidnapping and they spun it as murder. I don't know. I feel like it's smarter from the from the Revolutionary Army's point of view to kidnap people, because they don't want to be seen as the bad guys. And when you're going through the effort of infiltrating, I mean, unless you know that this person is the source of all evil, it probably makes more sense to kidnap the person and get information. But again, I don't know who, and we don't even know if it was the murdering incident that Sabo was involved in. But he's 100% not dead, and the fact that we have the Counterbuyer Kingdom being like, oh no, we lost all contact with them, it's just to, like, slur the information, because even Dragon says, like, let's just get to the truth first, and then we can worry about Sabo and all that, because we don't really know if this information we have is real. Because even if Morgan has this information, there's no way of knowing if the information he has been given is the complete truth, and we still don't even know what it is. So it's just something about Sabo. But yeah, I'm 100% on the side that he's not dead. He was there with the crow person, and I don't remember who else. But he's 100% not dead. Captured? Maybe. But it could also just be like a crazy like plot where he's pretending to be captured or dead, and in reality it's just like part of this big plot. I'm really not putting anything past him because we don't have significant information to validate anything, because it's all speculation, and every piece of information we get is, oh no, Sabo, oh no. And there's nothing to take from that. Every other piece of information is information we have about events that aren't necessarily linked to Sabo, or there isn't like explicitly set to be a link between those two things. So don't know. It's just this whole chapter was one piece of like, the first half was just vague information. You have to like try to piece everything together and hope you're getting to the right answer, and then the second half is just exposition, which we're getting into now. We have Dofi and Blackbeard like kind of reacting to the news too, which is nice. We haven't seen Dofi in a while, and I kind of like him, but whatever. Blackbeard had this really interesting line. I know I'm going all over the place, but there's so much information. My brain is just exploding. Blackbeard said, if the Navy's only going to take it, I might as well claim the prize. I've been like thinking about that statement for so long, and I don't know what on earth he means by that. What is it? What is something where you take it but don't claim the prize? Like, my whole thing is that we're going back to, okay, well, if the government captured Sabo, does Blackbeard want the devil fruit? But in my head, is it really worth it for him to go through a second Paramount War thing to get the flame fruit? Because he wouldn't be using it for himself. I'm assuming he would be giving that fruit to someone else. Just because of the elemental, like, Logia type powers, I feel like there are better options than the firepower, unless he just has a specific link with this fruit. I don't know. But I just, there seems to be like, because if, let's say the government has captured Sabo, right? Would Blackbeard really be the one to initiate an attack to get to Sabo? I don't think he would. He's a bit of a coward, and he generally comes in, like, as he says here, he comes in to, like, take whatever's left. Like, he never initiates stuff. He kind of just, like, comes in after chaos has happened and then leaves again. Yeah. I mean, when he is the center of an incident, it's because someone else initiated, like when the remainder of the Whitebeard pirates attacked him. Like, he didn't initiate that. I mean, it was his fault because he killed Whitebeard. Whatever. I don't know what that means, but he's definitely gonna do something, and he's gonna come out even stronger, even though he did nothing to deserve it. I don't know. But I hope it backfires on him. But I highly doubt it will. It's like every arc we have Blackbeard like in the background just growing stronger and stronger and stronger on someone else's effort, and then by the end he's gonna be super strong, but the thing that's gonna be his downfall is that he never really earned any of these things. Is what it seems like. Anyway, where am I? Right. My favorite part of this chapter was definitely Kobe and Drake, because Drake being a double agent was definitely a theory that I've been in on for a long, long time. I heard of it, like, basically back when he was first introduced, or when, like, I got into the series, because it's like, okay, this is a little suspicious that he's a specific ex-Marine person, and he seems to have good morals still despite being a pirate, and there was never really a reason for him going to the, like, turning from Marine to pirate, so it made a lot of sense for him to be a double agent, and especially when we saw him in Wano, which is closed off to the rest of the world, it made so much sense that he would be there, like, keeping an eye on this pirate-led country. So yeah, that part of it wasn't surprising, the part that was surprising is that he's in contact with Kobe, who's just like steadily climbing the ranks, like, yes, Kobe, go you. And they're both part of this secret organization called SWORD, which, okay, I don't know what to say about it. It's, okay, SWORD. There's just another group now. But yeah, they kind of talk about the situation in Wano and what the Navy should do about it, and I kind of like the approach they're having. Like, with everything going on, it makes a lot of sense for them to be like, okay, let's just wait it out. Like, Wano isn't actually part of the world government, so there's no reason or need for us to really interfere, especially because we don't have the manpower, so let's just hope that whatever goes on in this country, it'll just, like, all the evil will just cancel out and we'll be fine in the end. It's like, it's a bit of a coward's approach, but again, it's like, they have other things to deal with, and this isn't their jurisdiction anyway, so... And if everything I got to, like, if Kaido and Big Mom had fought, at the very least, one of them would probably have been very injured, if not dead, so that would have helped them out a lot, but as it turns out, they joined forces or whatever, so... But, again, I think I wondered about this the last time I did a review, which was, like, 3 or 4 weeks ago now. Or maybe it was in the live reaction yesterday, I don't remember. Do the government know about Luffy and everyone? Because I'm a little iffy on this. Like, again, Drake should know. But do they know exactly the extent of the revolution that's about to take place? Because I doubt they would. I highly, highly doubt it would. And that would help them a lot to know that, because then they would have less things to worry about, knowing that, okay, Big Mom and Kaido teaming up is not as bad as initially thought, because there is a really big force trying to go against them. Luffy, who has a grudge against both of these people and tends to come out on top, just going by track record. But even if they didn't defeat Big Mom and Kaido, they will definitely, like, at least damage them, and if they don't do that, then Kaido and Big Mom would take out these other threats, as in Luffy and Law and all these other people. Now, obviously, from the government side of things, it would benefit them more for Luffy's side to win, because these are emperors. I don't know why I'm doing all this, there's nothing here. But, yeah, regardless, I mean, our side, Luffy and them are probably gonna win because they're the main characters, but the question is just, like, how will it go down? Will they take Big Mom down with them with Kaido? Because I'm, like, 99% certain that Kaido will go down some way or another. But Big Mom, I'm more likely to be like, I don't know, because I said this before, she's smarter. She seems more likely to betray him. If the war kind of shifts in Luffy's favor, I would not be surprised if Big Mom just, like, tried to kill Kaido or something. Like, so many things could happen, but regardless, I think the Marines and the world government are probably going to be relatively happy with the outcome of Wano, because it will not benefit all pirates, but just a select few, while probably Kaido's side of things, they will suffer a lot, because the whole point of it is to free Wano from their rule. So yeah, I am really interested in seeing how the world will shift after the events of Wano, because it's gonna be, it's probably gonna be another one of those, like, okay, we took down Emperor, something has to fill the void, something. And it would be really interesting to just, like, have this breakdown of the Emperors the same way we broke down the Shichibukai, which I haven't even started talking about yet. Because the Shichibukai obviously being employed previously by the world government, it was easy to just strip them of their power, because that's just a law that you change. The Emperors are powers because they have power. It's not something you can strip them off, like, immediately, because you would have to kill them and everyone who follows them. But taking down one of them, as we did with Whitebeard, will leave a void. So again, taking down Kaido will leave a void. And if we take down both Kaido and Big Mom at the same time, that's even more, like, oh my god. Because who can really fill that? Because the thing is, we have this rise of Luffy probably eventually taking on a place kind of like an emperor. But in regards to the story we're telling, at the end of the story, there wouldn't be a thing as the 4 Emperors of the Sea. That's probably just gonna be gone, because the whole world will change. So are we going into the storyline of Luffy slowly just taking over all of these territories like he did with Fishman Island and Dressrosa and all of these things, where he's slowly just taking these territories, and like on his road to become Pirate King, he basically takes over every single emperor. Like, okay, we're starting off with Big Mom's territory, then we take a little bit of Kaido, then we completely destroy Kaido, then we completely destroy Big Mom. We go after Blackbeard, and then I assume Blackbeard will kill Shanks, take over his territory, and then Luffy will take down Blackbeard and then take over his territory. I don't know. Something like that. You know, that it's like he slowly accidentally takes over everything, becomes the Pirate King, teams up with the Revolutionary Army, defeats the world government, frees the world. I don't know. That was the fairy tale ending, and probably not how it's gonna happen. But you know. I don't know. Where am I? I have so many notes. Right, the dissolution of the Shichibukai. I talked about it a little bit, so let's just continue with this. That was the big, like, drop of this chapter. And it's really quite interesting that this is something that we're just, like, dumping in the middle of the Wano arc. I say the Wano arc because, like, we have other things going on at the same time. The reverie, the outside world. Again, this is really interesting because Wano is this closed-off country, and then so many things around the world are just happening, and it has no effect on Wano as of right now. But as soon as Wano opens up their borders, it's just gonna, like, shit is gonna hit the fan, you know? But yeah, dissolution of the Shichibukai, which was a plan made by Cobra and Riku, which makes a lot of sense because their country suffered a whole lot under the rule of Shichibukai. There should probably, like, because I think the idea of the Shichibukai probably made a lot of sense, because it's like, okay, we have a little bit of control over these insanely strong people, but they should probably have, like, made sure that they couldn't abuse their power, you know, because that's generally the issue. Like, because there are some people who just, like, had a great time, like, Hancock, she didn't really, I mean, her island was her island from the start. That's not gonna change whether or not she has the title of a Shichibukai. The same with Mihawk. He lived on a deserted island. What trouble is he gonna cause? It was just the people who, like, really use their power for unintended purposes, like Blackbeard, Crocodile, Doflamingo. But yeah, it's gonna be really interesting because now we have these really strong people who are gonna be actively fighting, because they're not necessarily on the run. I highly doubt that the Navy can take down Amazon Lily. I really highly doubt that. There's no way they're gonna play this very defensively, because this is where they live. They can't touch them, I think. Then there's Mihawk, who just seems really fucking excited about the opportunity to be chased again. Like, why would you keep your status as a Shichibukai if you're bored? If you're that bored, why would you? I don't know. Regardless, I'm really interested in seeing Mihawk being an active player, because so far he's mainly taken the role of the person Zoro wants to defeat, the person Zoro is now training under, the person that Zoro looks up to, the person that Zoro yada yada yada. He just kind of appears, and he's not, because even in the Paramount War, he was just kind of, he did the bare minimum of what was expected of him as a Shichibukai. Like, he basically left the minute he had the chance to. So, I'm really interested in seeing him taking an active role and seeing what part of the story he'll be playing, because when he eventually faces off against Zoro, assuming this is the thing that happens, like, at this point I can't even be sure. But assuming he faces off against Zoro, it's probably gonna be, like, not as enemies, obviously. Zoro trained under the guy for 2 years. But I'm really interested in seeing, like, where that fits into the story, because it seems like the Straw Hats have so much going on. I'm doubting that Zoro will be like, okay, I just need to take a week off to fight against Mihawk to claim the title as the best swordsman in the world. I might be really injured afterwards, but let's just hope that won't, like, hurt our crew too much, you know? I mean, when is this opportunity just gonna come along? Which is also why I'm like, we could have, like, kind of like with the Shanks Blackbeard thing, where it's like, okay, so Luffy looks up to Shanks, wants to meet him again to return the hat. Blackbeard kills Shanks, so therefore Luffy beats Blackbeard and therefore proves that he's stronger than Shanks. And we could have a similar thing going on with Zoro where it's like, okay, so Mihawk faced up against some Blackbeard dude with a sword. Don't know who that... Oh, Shiryu... that guy from Impel Down. Face up against him, loses, dies, don't know. The title of Best Horseman goes to him now. Now Zoro has to defeat him. And he has a actual reason to, other than this is just a Swordman of the crew, which is my opponent every time we face off against another crew. You know what I mean? Regardless, I'm super excited for Mihawk. I don't think he's gonna die though. But he might lose. You never know. You never know. Alright, we saw Buggy. I feel like Buggy got the most screen time out of everyone. And he did absolutely nothing. He just like kind of yelled. We also saw Alvida, who is my waifu. So yeah, that was great, mainly for the Alvida part, but also just because I love Buggy. And again, I'm just interested in seeing where he's gonna go now, because now he doesn't have the protection of the Shichibukai, and we also know that, oh my god, what's his name? The giant from, that's part of Luffy's alliance thingy. That guy, he left him, together with his giant pirates, so he's losing power, but it's Buggy, so I'm sure he'll get through it. And then just the chapter ending on Hancock being like super confident because the Shichibukai were chosen to be who they were because they are really strong. Except for Buggy, who's just like a charismatic clown. In a very opposite way of Hisoka, but like, you know, whatever. Yeah, so that was, oh my god, I talked so much just about that chapter. Can you believe? Anyway, the dissolution of the Shichibukai was definitely one of my favorite parts. It's probably one of my favorite things that have happened in One Piece this year. Because I've talked a little bit about this. Wano is not so far one of my favorite arcs. Because there's just so many side characters that I don't necessarily care that much about. And I miss crew interactions. It's been such a long time. Like, really, Punk Hazard feels like it's been ages since they were all together. Like, Punk Hazard, like, fun fact, Punk Hazard was when I caught up to One Piece. And that's how long it's been since we saw all of them together in one place. Like, dear lord. It's been a long, long time. But yeah, these two chapters, despite having Zero Straw Hats, were definitely amazing because it really pushes the story along. Like, all of those big ass plot lines that just like been kind of sitting on the back burner, they just like got pushed forward. A lot of things that were just like waiting for them to happen, especially because like we had Fujitora in Dressrosa talking about how he wanted the Shichibukai system to just be gone. We're having that happen now. We have literally the results of Dressrosa and Alabasta finally take like not have consequences, but you know, something came of those arcs. Alabasta was so long ago. And just like a lot of, as I said, callbacks, like Wapol, we have the guy who was Sabo's adopted brother, just a lot of things, which really, it propels us further to the climax of the story, which, that's really exciting. That's really, really exciting, because there are few arcs left where I think need to happen before we can get into the end game. Like, we need to go to Elbaf. We need to find the last red poneglyphs. So, you know, there are a few things. We might go to the moon. We need Enel to come back. I swear to God, I miss him. But yeah, a few characters, very, very few characters haven't been seen the last like couple of chapters. So, I mean, we didn't see like Shanks in person, but it could happen. It could happen. Let's go to 57. So 57 I obviously talked about a little bit in the reaction, but obviously I've reread it since then. I've taken some notes and had a little bit of time to think about it. I talked a little bit about it with my friend, but not too much. But yeah, this was a different kind of lore dump because the previous chapter, which I actually prefer of the two of them, was a lot of the what's it called? The payoff for a lot of setups we've had. Where this chapter was a lot of new information and bounties. We're gonna talk about the bounties in the end because it really is the least interesting part of everything because it is just numbers. It's the bounties is like exciting when you first see them, but I have the same feelings about bounties that I have of power levels. They mean nothing. They mean absolutely nothing because in the end, it's Oden can do whatever he wants with the story. Like you can take someone who's like level 10 strong, pit them against a level 3 strong person, and level 3 will still win if they have the right strategy, you know? So power levels, but it sets like a kind of a, you know, a standard, you know? We'll talk about it in the end. Right, we talked about Akine and Fujitora. I talked about that with the Shichibukai thing. Move on. They mention the SSG, and when I read the SSG, I was like, what on earth is that? Am I supposed to know what the SSG was? So I looked it up, and no, the SSG was basically just introduced here. But the SSG is a special science team, or a special science group, I would assume it is since it's a G. It's not explicitly stated in the chapter that it is led by Vegapunk, but it is 100% led by Vegapunk. Who can we see him soon? Can we learn more about him? I'm very interested in his character. The CGG is created to replace the Shichibukai as a power system, and I am assuming their main thing is making weapons of mass destruction. Probably more pacifista-like things. So we have the black pacifista, which are like the prototype. We have the white pacifista, which are like the level up from the pacifista, and then I'm assuming we're getting like a third thing, and I'm slowly liking the idea of it just straight up being mechas, like giant ass robots with people riding them. Because this is One Piece. Literally anything you've ever seen in any anime will probably appear in One Piece. So mechas. We already have Frankie inside his super robot Frankie, so something like that. And that would make a lot of sense too, because Frankie used that abandoned Vegapunk laboratory in his 2 years, so he probably got the design from somewhere, you know? Oh my god. Okay. The Rocks Pirate Crew is the main thing of this chapter. So the Rocks Pirate Crew was a crazy pirate crew. It's just every legend minus Roger and the people of Roger's crew seem to have come from this one pirate group. Now I do really like that we get the piece of information that is this crew was incredibly unstable and the members of this crew just killed each other all the time. So what I'm assuming, that was a lot of stuttering, what I'm assuming from this pirate crew is that this Rocks dude, Rocks Mr. D, he was probably insanely strong, like just so strong you can't even like measure his strength. I don't know, he's just really, really strong, and that's probably what drew people to him. And I'm assuming it's also one of those like things where it's like people tried to kill him, they failed, and he was like, join my crew because you seem strong enough to be part of my crew. And this guy had ambitions, and he had like this crew of legends. But I'm also wondering, is it like one of those things where, is it the Bucky Shanks thing where they joined as like what's it called, whatever they were, like boys who did things, cleaned the deck, or were they already somewhat established pirates that then joined the Rocks crew? Like, is it a Bucky Shanks situation, or is it the Ace joining Whitebeard situation? I'm assuming it's the Ace joining Whitebeard situation, just because, I mean, even as a toddler, Big Mom was like killing people. So yeah, it could be any of the things, but I really think it's like one of those things where it's like, okay, strong people came to Rocks, tried to challenge him, failed, then joined his crew hoping to get stronger, and then eventually when they failed against their fight against Roger and Garp, they just like disbanded and were like, okay, now we're really strong and we can do whatever we want. I don't know, but I love the little name drops we have of all these things. I'm especially interested in the fact that Captain John was on that ship, because Captain John's treasure is what Bucky's looking for, so the fact that we're name dropping him probably means that we're gonna get more into that storyline at some point. So yeah, and obviously we had Shiki, we had Silver Axe, and Wang Shi. Wang Shi sounds so familiar, but I don't remember who he is. Silver Axe, again, blank, blank, blank. I'm thinking of what's the name? Morgan the Axe from like chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, you know what I mean. But like, that's obviously not the guy, because that guy's weak, and that story-wise, that doesn't make sense at all. But yeah. Names, people, this pirate crew, what on earth? But it's just, again, we have this natural enemy of Roger. I'm still not entirely sure, because Roger is still like A+ mystery. He's like the Luffy type who was there for the adventuring and stuff, so obviously he would just naturally make these enemies of other pirates. But was Roger also the kind of person who would, you know, fight for freedom? Because the whole, like, Rox's entire motivation was to be king of the world. And to do that, he challenged the world government, because that is how you become king of the world. So I'm wondering what Roger's motivation for teaming up with Garp would be. Because he is a pirate, he's a free spirit, and he's kind of doing whatever he wants. So it's just a question of, he was lending Garp a hand, Garp was lending him a hand, they teamed up to fight a common foe. Did Roger always have this, like, rivalry with Rox? Because they did say he was probably his greatest rival, which makes a lot of sense. They're both D's, which is interesting. Was he a real D? Because we know that Whitebeard told Blackbeard that he wasn't a real D, whatever the fuck that means. Probably because he doesn't have the spirit of it or whatever. There's so many questions in One Piece. I feel like this, like, the more I talk about this chapter, the more I'm like, we don't really know anything. Everything is speculation. I feel like some speculations are obviously more valid than others because there's more evidence, but I mean, it's Oda. Oh my god, I'm not even halfway through my notes. This is crazy. Right. Ooh, we have Sengoku back because, as I said, every character that's ever been relevant is in these 2 chapters. Sengoku is giving us a story time, and this is probably why I prefer the previous chapter, because this is exposition and it's just one person talking about what happened in the past. And that is sometimes how you need to do these things, because imagine if Oda had taken the time to giving us 5 flashback chapters just doing this exact thing. It is a little bit quicker to just recap it, because even though it's important, it's not so important that you would need those 5 chapters to tell the same story that you could talk about in like 7 sentences. Oh yeah, but we have, Sengoku tells us that the Rocks Pirates, they were basically formed on Full Alert. Is it called Full Alert? How do you pronounce that? Full Alert? Full Alert? I don't know. At Full Alert Island, which is where Blackbeard is, and it's a pirate island. So I'm wondering, did Full Alert become a pirate island because it was where Rocks formed his pirate crew, and then from there it just stayed a place ruled by pirates? Because then that would make, I don't know if it makes a lot of sense, but it ties into the story, because Blackbeard would probably know the story, having been part of Whitebeard's crew previously, and Whitebeard was part of Rox's crew, and maybe that story was told. I don't know. I'm also wondering if, like, Marco was part of this crew, because Marco is probably pretty damn old. I love the theory that he's that he was literally alive during the Void Century, because a phoenix, he could probably live forever, unless you take away his Delphi power. But that's just another theory, so let's just... But yeah, I'm wondering other people who have been part of this pirate crew, because, I mean, a lot of them are, you know, pretty old, like the Rocks Pirate Crew's thingy. I don't know if it was the fight or it was probably the fight. That was 38 years ago. So, and at that point, people would have been, you know, in their 20s, maybe at least, to be at the prime of their fighting, whatever. So, many of the people who were there are probably 50 plus years old, right? But yeah, I'm wondering if we're gonna meet more people who were part of that crew, part of the crew, part of Roger's crew when they fought, because obviously we have Crocus, we have Rayleigh, others. But yeah, it's just because this is like the new like hidden story. What other people are tied into this specific incident, and how, like, what were all the consequences of this specific things, and how long after Roger faced off against Rox did he like form his crew and do all the things that he did, and where does Odin play into everything? How quickly did Whitebeard like form his crew and become the legend that he is? So many questions. I should probably draw out a timeline or something. Okay, let me just go through my notes real quick. God Valley. God Valley was the place of the final showdown. It disappeared for some reason. And no one knows why. Because the government tried to cover everything up, and when they went to God Valley, it was just not there anymore. And I talk about this in the live reaction, like, did it move? Did it sink under the ocean? Did it fly off to the sky? Like, there are options, because we have had islands fly up to the sky. We have islands move. Have we had islands? Well, we know that Water 7, if they didn't make it a boat, it would have sunk eventually because of the flood. So we have had potentially islands that have sunk under below sea level. And then we've had obviously O'Hara, which was just destroyed in the Buster Call. So which of the four, if potentially the fifth option, was God Valley? Because as a valley, I said that I think it just sunk. But I would not be surprised if it was literally any of the other. Like for all I know, God Valley could literally be Raftel that moved, became Raftel. That's where Roger went, hid his treasure, and then just left, you know? It could be anything. Like, for me, it almost makes sense. Almost that Raftel can move, but also we have the red poneglyphs, which are like coordinates, so like it shouldn't be able to move unless they like form like a secret code word to locating something that moves. One Piece, man. There's too many things, too many options. Just it's because Oda has introduced so many goddamn things in the story that literally anything is possible. Because for a lot of other shows, you can say, okay, this is not likely to happen because we've never seen anything like this before. It doesn't fit into the universe. One Piece is not that kind of show. One Piece is the kind of show where it's like, well, we've kind of seen this before, so why not combine these 15 other things to create this new, but slightly still familiar thing? I feel like I'm talking a lot about One Piece just being hard to predict. But that's a good thing. That is a good thing, because they're set up for it being unpredictable. But at the same time, like, it's a good balance to then, when you read something that's supposedly unpredictable, you're still like, ooh, this makes sense. Like the Shichibukai thing, or other things. Other things. Okay. Finally, let's talk a little bit about Garb. Garb got his legend from the Rox Roger incident. The main thing to take away from that is that the reason he doesn't like to talk about it is because of two things. The fact that he had to work with Roger, who would at that point probably have been an established pirate, seeing that Garb didn't want to talk about it. And secondly, it went against his moral compass to protect celestial dragons. And protecting celestial dragons is the literal reason that he has stayed a vice admiral, because being an admiral means protecting celestial dragons and being directly under their orders and stuff. So I really like, especially the celestial dragons thing, because Sengoku literally like puts that down to his own strong moral compass, that the Rox pirate crew were like such a big threat that he was willing to just throw that away to take them down. Yeah. So the Rox pirate, oh my god, there's so much. The Rox pirate crew, they mentioned that Rox committed several taboos, in the world of One Piece, what's a taboo? Because the celestial dragons themselves do a lot of shady shit. What is so bad in this world that you would consider it taboo? Because I feel like stuff like human experiments is just like, if you have the money, it's kind of okay, you know? And like, people have slaves. And it's not something like, it's not like a Full Metal Alchemist thing where they try to revive the dead, because even that, Moria has done that to an extent. What on earth do they mean by taboos? Unless all of those things are taboos and he just did all of them and they were like, okay, this isn't just one bad thing you did like 5 of them, so. I want to know more. This is, oh god. Okay, let's get to the bounties before this gets way too long. I'm just gonna quickly find them. I'm not gonna go through every single one of them. I'm mainly just gonna talk about, we'll see what I'm gonna talk about. I'm sure I know a lot of the bounties are puns. I don't remember where I saw this. It was, I think it was by the translator that because I follow him on Twitter. A lot of them are like puns based on their names or like their powers or something like that, which is really funny. So, because I was wondering while I was reading, like, why not just go with like a round number? Why do they have to have like 2,250,6 blah, 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 instead of just being like, okay, it's 2.2 or something. But it's puns. I like that Blackbeard is the lowest bounty, which is probably because he's the newest one. But I quite like that because that will give him, like, that will give us like the slow words, man. One Piece is just jumbling my brain. He will slowly rise to power, get stronger, and then go from being the least of problems to the worst of problems. So yeah, it's probably pretty good. Shanks, I'm assuming his is, again, I don't know why I'm always assuming Shanks is the strongest, but it's because we all like him. We want him to be the strongest. I don't know. But again, I'm assuming that his bounty is third lowest, or number 2 to be introduced, because he doesn't cause that many issues. Like, he literally stopped the war, the Paramount War, before it got like heckin' worse. So that's what I'm assuming. But as they mentioned in the chapter, the reason that Shanks' pirate crew is so scary is because it's not just him. It's like basically every member of his crew is someone really, really strong. Big Mom being second makes a lot of sense to me, because even though she's crazy and she's probably, I would probably put her as second most powerful, just in offensive like power and her crew and stuff. But she tends to stick to her own territories. Like, she will destroy islands for sweets, but that's, agreements were made, And then Kaido, number 1. I feel like Kaido is just like a rabid beast. He just does not care. He will just like destroy islands in an attempt to commit suicide. Chaotic evil. Yeah. And then obviously we have deceased legends, Whitebeard and Roger. Obviously Roger is number 1. That's the only thing that makes sense. He is the Pirate King. But yeah, we are using bounties here as a way to do power levels, because a bounty is supposed to show someone's danger level. And obviously Blackbeard is gonna be the final boss, so we can't really trust this. And also this really paints Kaido and Big Mom's alliance in a really bad light for us, because we're against them. But also, when Luffy eventually takes 1 or 2 of them down, that shit's just gonna be crazy. But yeah, I don't like power levels. I've talked about this multiple times. But just in case anyone don't know, I don't like power levels because they mean nothing. So yeah. Anything else? Oh right, I didn't even talk about Oden. Holy crap. This is gonna be straight up an hour long. This is crazy. I love that Sengoku and Akainu talk about Oden in this chapter. chapter because Odin is the catalyst. Oh my god. What's the word? He's what started the revolution in Wano because of, that story. Not gonna go into it. You know it. You all read it. But the fact that Odin is literally connected to every major player in some way or another, because he went from Whitebeard to Roger, and Whitebeard was a part of the Rocks pirate crew, so therefore he has an indirect connection to the Rocks pirates, who have a connection, obviously, to Kaido and Big Mom, and Kaido is taking over Wano, and Kaido is the reason, Kaido and Orochi are the reason that Oden is dead and his family is rebelling because Kosuki stuff. So it all comes back to Wano and Oden in the end, which makes Wano both a separate incident and a very much entangled incident, which will have huge consequences. Generally just like Wano and their people taking back their country, opening up their borders, and probably becoming a member of the world government until that is inevitably destroyed. It's gonna have huge consequences. Now I say that world government being inevitably destroyed, more in a way of, I think the way the world government works now is obviously gonna have to change, because that's the whole point of the Revolutionary Army. We're gonna destroy the Celestial Dragon system. We're gonna figure out what's up with the old 5 men the Gorsei, and then Eam, what the connection with those things are, and we're just gonna what's the opposite word of established? Destroy. We're gonna deconstruct is the word I'm looking for, the way that the world functions as one society, because having something like the world government and the reverie is not a bad thing, because it forces people to like be at peace with each other and work together and have like trading lines and shit like that. But the fact that there is like an established world order and every person have to like listen to these few people who are probably listening to this one person, that's not a good system. So yeah, things have to be taken down. The Celestial Dragons is like the main issue, depending on what on Earth Eam is. I'm not even sure she's a person. For all I know, she could be a ghost. Or the final boss, who knows? Is it even, are they a she? I don't know. Yeah, these 2 chapters, oh my god, they gave way to so much conversation and discussion. Is there anything I've forgotten to talk about? I feel like I've gotten through everything now, what it could mean for everything. Hoi. I think we're gonna go back to Wano next chapter, because ending on them talking about Oden and Wano is probably a really good way to get into Wano again and start the 3rd act. And I literally hope we get straight into the action. I am dying for some really good action, because we've seen like a little bit of things here and there, but I am missing Luffy going all out on an opponent. Last time he did that was against Katakuri. And while that was a great fight, I want like, a proper enemy who has like a proper hatred for Luffy. Because Katakuri was like a good person, Oh my god, I've been so excited, my bun is like falling apart. Yeah, I'm waiting for some good action, because it's not that I want this arc to be over with. That's not it. I wanted to just be more Straw Hat centered, I think is the word I'm looking for, and what I've been saying for a while now. I want it to be more Straw Hat focused. I want Luffy to just have a really nice fight. He's been training a lot. I want all the Straw Hats to come together. I want team attacks. I want them to be somewhat happy at seeing each other again, even though it might be in the midst of a war. And I want Luffy to take down Kaido single-handedly, because that has been my theory for like years now. I think that was one of the first things I talked about when I started doing reviews. I was like, I think Luffy is gonna take down Kaido by himself, and it seems more and more unlikely every day, but like, I am sticking with my gut. Yeah. I'm gonna stop talking now. This has been 50 minutes. Oh, yes. I really hope I covered everything. You can leave a like if you liked anything that I had to talk about. Leave in the comment section below what you thought of these 2 chapters. What are your theories? What do you think the consequences of everything are? What do you think happened to Sabo? What do you think anything that I talk about? Just leave a comment, you know? Anything. And most of all, leave your theories about what's gonna happen and how this is gonna affect the world, because there's so many opportunities for anything. So many options. And you can subscribe if you want to see more. And until next time, bye.